It's the weekend, it's mailbag, it's the end of what feels like a really long week, even though it's been a short one. I think Everton squeaking through against Doncaster in midweek didn't help. I am joined by two of the people who I did post match with. Dave and Peter join me tonight. Foxy will be on later. Lads, have you suitably recovered from the excitement of Wednesday night? Clearly not. Clearly not.
I'm I'm
I
I'm
was, I
still
was
in shock.
waiting.
I'm still in
But,
shock that we actually managed to score a goal. To be honest.
you know, yeah, it was. Do you know what? I finished it relatively happy. It made me think that when Everton do actually win games and score goals, it does put you in a decent mood, doesn't it? Because
It
I
does,
was
we'd
clearly,
forgotten.
I was going to say I was furious until we actually did score a goal. So I know it's only Doncaster, like, and they play up the road in a fucking somewhere in the park on Walton Road, but yeah, it was. It felt a little bit more positive, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. You can only beat what's put in front of you. And we're recording this on deadline day. So apologies to anyone listening after it goes live after deadline day. But that's how it goes. And it looks like we're selling all of our players. So that's fun because we've been trying to get rid of them all for years. Speaking of deadline day, TWS has asked, it's nearly 10 years to the day since one of the best transfer deadline days. That was Lukaku, Barry, and McCarthy all joining Everton. But for him, not least because he was on the Guinness in Malahide. What's your favourite bit of deadline day business, Dave?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to pick above what he said there, to be honest, because that was a hat of a top class transfer window, wasn't it? The thing to me, firstly, when things like that used to happen, we used to be. I know we do these days, I suppose, but we were a club like Life on the edge of a cliff, weren't we? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was the edge of a knife all the time. You don't know what's going to happen, even when it gets up to the several hours. It used to be. This sounds silly. It used to be the exciting days where you think, "Oh, I might wake up tomorrow morning and we have actually signed someone that they just didn't get." People thought we didn't get over the line, but we actually did because we sent the paperwork out and all that shit. But that night was amazing. I remember us getting Gareth Barry, McCarthy. I wasn't too asked
didn't
about,
didn't
but it
Gareth
wasn't he the
Barry
most
though?
expensive? But he was the most expensive, wasn't he? Because
Yeah,
Lukaku was on loan and Barry was on loan. So
was Gareth
um,
Barry wasn't done in time, was he? Or he wasn't done like by the deadline? It wasn't
no, I think it was
reported, was
because
it?
it was a loan. Because it was a loan, I think I must get some sort
Because
of
I remember,
additional time.
yeah, I remember going to bed and it's like I didn't think we'd signed him. I think it was him
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, that's it. I mean, when we got them in, I think if you remember back to those Moyes years as well, where there was so much momentum it gave us when we did actually complete a bit of business. Because sometimes when you go into the rest of the window up until you can't sign anybody until the January, and remember like the squad we then with, and you'd sit there at home thinking, yeah, this is miles away from what we need to achieve what we want to do. If you want to get into Europe again and stuff like that. And that's the way things were. The financial side, we on our asses, weren't we? So those little miracles that Moyes was able to sort out for us. Again, they were on a knife edge, weren't they? But then when Martinez came in and we had that final couple of days of getting players in, when those three lads came in, I was so excited about the season coming forward. And we started really well. I say really well. We were up to like third or something in the league, weren't we? We won our first four, lost our first couple. But watching the way we played was like as exciting as I've ever been as an Evertonian.
Yeah, it was great. It was good times, wasn't it? It was good times.
I'm
Pete,
trying to think of those other windows though where
it was the
we've had
one.
a belter.
The one for me was that the main. It probably ticks all the boxes there in terms of a late signing, one that we'd all gone to bed and didn't think we'd got anyone in. It was Marouane Fellaini. I feel like
That
he's
was
a really obvious one.
that was the one I
You
was going
know,
to say.
Yeah, because we tried all window for Moutinho, hadn't we? We put all these bids in,
Huh.
and then at like 5 to 11, it was like, no, we're not getting him. And then Fellaini just came out of absolutely nowhere.
Yeah,
It was just we hadn't been linked with him. Not there had been no talk whatsoever of us even having talked to him or having any interest in him. And the next thing, we just
and it was
announced him at like 2 in the morning.
it was a lot of money as well. Yeah, I remember it was on the like Sky Sports hourly news. So I don't know if that was like dead on 11 or midnight or something.
Yeah,
But I remember just seeing it like Everton have signed Marouane Fellaini for like 13 million. It was like who and how? What like
Yeah,
he was random as anything though, wasn't he? I mean,
yeah,
I remember we got him in. I was like, I don't know much about this fella, and at that time, it felt like just done it willy-nilly. We're not actually that arsed, just going, pretty much like a day like today, just go and buy someone, please. And it felt a little bit desperate to me, but then when he come in, I was like, what's going on here? What have we signed here for? We just throwing him in the box and trying to score headers and all that. And then when you figured out that he was actually a good midfielder and he had a fantastic touch on him, we were like, now we've done a decent bit of recruitment here.
It did seem like David Moyes didn't really know who he was signing himself.
Yeah, exactly.
He played him in a completely different position after a while.
That's it. Just get someone in as soon as you can.
Was Yakubu a deadline day signing?
That's a good point, that, mate. That's a good question. Who did we get him from? Portsmouth?
Was it Borough, was it? Was it Borough?
Yeah, it might be Borough, yeah.
I think it was Borough, yeah.
But that was the last day or not?
I've got it in my head that him and we got... Yeah, but I've got it in my head that we got Yakubu and Tommy Gravison back on loan.
Yeah, so it said August 2007, so it could have been.
Yeah, he was definitely a late one because I know that he scored in his debut against Bolton, didn't he? And I'm sure Tommy Gravison played that game as well on loan when I'm sure when he
came back
from a corner.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I remember when Tommy Gravison re-signed, I was emotional. I was so happy that he come back. The little lunatic. Obviously didn't quite work out the second time round, but he was he was a little favourite of mine when he was at Everton the first time. So I just remember being absolutely buzzing. But I'd say I just remember Gravison. He did absolutely nothing in his second spell other than like sort of wave to the crowd and put the odd decent corner in. But I'm sure he set up one of the goals in that game against Bolton.
Yeah, might well have done. Foxy, what's your favourite bit of deadline day business?
Iwobi from Arsenal. Just in repeat this, wasn't it? Like he was on a boat somewhere in Dubai, and we made a random call, and he came in, and it feels like we're doing the same again, bit of the way around this year. Was Fellaini? Sorry, just joined. So was Fellaini? Was he deadline day?
Just speaking about Fellaini, it was like completely out of the blue. No one knew who he was. Apparently, David Moyes didn't by the look of it either.
Which is what we're all hoping for today, right? Given the lack of any noise that I've seen.
So, obviously this is going to date the show really quickly, but it's fine. But it's sort of like, at the minute, it feels like we're just kind of getting rid of everyone.
So, I had one more to throw in as well, but maybe it's not conventional deadline day like today is. It's when we got James Beattie in the... that was a January window, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, because was his debut against Fulham then?
No, his debut was against Southampton, who he came from.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And he scored as well. After we got him straight from there, and he was getting some really big abuse from down in the South Coast. But I remember
he get sent off against Chelsea like that early on as well?
Yeah, because he had butted, I think, didn't he?
Had butted Gallas in the back of the head.
That's it, Gallas, yeah. That's it. And the thing about him, like when he come in, I thought it's bad for me to say, like, but he looks so chubby. I remember looking at him like he couldn't run either, could he? Let's face it, he had no pace whatsoever. And then I started thinking, why have you got him? And then obviously it was quite quickly when we thought he scored a couple of peaches. Like I remember he scored a chip against Fulham at home.
Yeah,
lovely. And it was just outside the D where he just chipped it over the keeper. And then I think he scored a belter away at West Ham as well, which was similar. I mean, he's a talented lad. But you look at a player like that and you think, how's he got to this level? He got a game for England as well, didn't he?
He just leathered it, couldn't he?
Yeah, and we paid $8 million for him as well, which back then, that's about 80 million these days.
It's like, it's fine with hindsight, but I always thought at the time that Dean Ashton was the one we should have got. Because I think he went for about 3 million, didn't he?
Yeah. He went to the West Ham. Did he go West Ham from Norwich? He started at Crewe.
Crewe to Norwich, didn't he, I think?
Yeah, I think he started at Crewe. He did.
Yeah, that's when we should have signed him.
Lots of injuries, Dean Ashton. I think James Beattie had the one really good season. He scored like 20 odd goals, and then we went, he's amazing, he's going to save us. And obviously came to Everton and it was rubbish.
And also the memory I've got of him was when he was in the dreaded second leg against Villarreal. He was in the team for that.
Oh God, yeah.
And he did not score the goal when we got beat 2-1 by Villarreal.
He scored in the first leg at Goodison, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And then he was in the second leg as well, and seeing obviously Big Dunk probably. We know all that story. But
That,
that's
do you know
when I
what?
started looking, thinking, he's a bit shit, this fella, isn't he?
Sometimes this show just writes itself, because that leads us nicely into the second question from TWS
What other
about away
nightmare is
days.
this?
Doncaster was a grim watch from a telly-clapping perspective. Fair play to anyone with the time, money, and mental health to regularly go their ways. On which note, what's your worst away? Foxy?
Ooh, what you got?
I think it was with you, Les, on one of them, mate.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
I'll take you back to the 90s. Use your quote.
Yes, do it. Go on.
So, being a West Country boy, a lot of my aways were kind of Portsmouth, Southampton, Bristol. We played the Bristol teams a couple of times in the Cup. I missed the 195 on the Cup run, but I was there in 2000 against City, Ashton Gate. But the one I'm going back to is 1999 against Rovers in the rain, League Cup game.
Open end.
Open end. It lashed it down for 3 hours. Open end. Went to, I can't remember the score, but it's a draw. Went to extra time. Rovers were like second division, bit like Doncaster. Went to extra time. Franny Jeffers did his ankle. It might have been the first time he did his ankle, but when he was kind of good first time round, Michael Ball played quite a strong team, and we got beat on penalties. I was there for like 3 hours in the rain, going, what am I doing in my life? The only benefit was at the time I lived in Bristol and only lived like 70 yards away from the ground. So it was like a quick walk home. It's like you can dry off. But I felt for all like the travelling toffees coming down, sitting on the coach, being absolutely soaked, going back up again. So yeah, that was classic.
Pretty grim. I think before me and Dave launch into what was probably our worst away, though I've got another one, but just from a footballing perspective. Pete, what's yours?
I mean, I've got a list of them. Just very quickly. I mean, Borough away in the Cup, Walter Smith's last game was my first ever away. Well, first away trip other than like Anfield, but first like sort of going on the coach and all that. And we were pretty much the only ones left by the 50th minute, so we had to go back to the coach, and we got back on the coach, and the match was still going on, and the coach was left. So it was that was grim. That was really grim. Atalanta away in the Europa League was a pretty. Yeah, because the thing about that one as well was because it was such a like mission to get there. We had to get like a coat. Like, what did we do? We got a train down to London, then we had to fly into Milan. So we had to wait in London for like 8 hours till our flight, sleep in the airport, flight to Milan, and then get the coach from the airport to the train station, then get a train to Reggio Emilia, I think it was called, some random place, and then had to make our way all the way to the hotel. To get to the hotel, to be told that we had to go into town to then get bused back in, and the hotel was right next to the stadium. And then we got to the town centre, and everywhere was closed other than this like little fan park where there was just like one little food thing with wasps everywhere, and like no cafes open, nothing. It was like and then we got battered. Like, was it 5-0 or 5-1 or something?
Yeah.
Something horrible. I can't remember what the score was. It was, I mean, to be honest, I've been drinking for like 2 days. This is back in the days when I used to drink. Oh, and then just to top it off as well, when I was coming into Italy, we got to passport control, and the people on passport control didn't they didn't believe me that my passport photo was me. So I had to explain to them that the reason I'd aged so much in the last 6 years was because of Everton, and I had to show them my like Facebook to prove that it was
Jesus.
that this young chap with lovely long like spiky hair and no beard had turned into this fucking mess that was stood in front of them waiting to go to the game. But yeah, so that was that was a pretty shitty one, yeah. But I say there's been plenty. Burnley away when they beat us, like, and there was fireworks going off. That was a low point. When we got battered by 5-0 by Tottenham a couple of times, I think when we were at Wembley.
Yeah.
In the league game before their stadium got finished, that was grim. The season before last was grim at Tottenham. Oh, there's loads of them.
Yeah. York away in the League Cup in the 90s was a bad one for me because it ripped me coat on the fence. Gutted. And we got beat. Millwall away in the FA Cup. The Tim Mine away in the FA Cup. Not for travel, this is all just football. And then Man City away, when Benitez was manager, was just like, I think it was 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. It was just the deadest game in terms of atmosphere and football. It was grim. But Dave, I will defer to you on what could be both of our worst away trips.
It was He was Brighton away, and it was just me and him, and it was a winter's day. It was in January, wasn't it? I think.
Oh no, it was the dead zone between Christmas and New Year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it was vile. It was. I don't even know. Where did I even pick you up from? I can't even remember.
Did I go see? I might have gone to yours. You know.
That's right. I think you did. Yeah, he parked
Yeah.
outside ours, and then we hit the 800-mile drive or whatever it was. And the worst thing about this is because obviously we went down to Bournemouth as well, which isn't a million miles away down there, is it? And Southampton, obviously those three are down there. And I remember every time I've drove down there, I've got to like parallel with London, and I thought, yeah, be about half an hour before we get there, and it's not. It's still about another 4 hours to get there. Anyway, there was snow, there was all sorts, it was freezing, and then we got there, and I was thought like we drove past the ground, which is in like the Teletubby Hills, and seen it there, and obviously there's university, it's within, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was thinking, yeah, we'll go and park the car in there, we'll be sound. No one was allowed to park in the university. So the fella said to us, yeah, you need to go down to the racecourse ground, which is like literally on the edge of Britain.
It's basically the sea, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. The sea was like a foot in front of us. So we had to go and park there and get a shuttle bus back. And the shuttle bus, to be fair, like you got there sound enough. Got there, went in. Nice stadium and all that. It's a modern stadium, isn't it? It's not the biggest of stadiums, but
Yeah.
We got beat 1-0, played really poorly, and Zuma missed the sitter. Didn't he throw his header on the bar, I think it was. Really easy header about, I don't know, a yard out or whatever, and he missed it. So, game finished.
Sorry, Dave, just before that, we were on the front row. Everyone stood up, and one fella stood behind us, kept telling us to sit down, didn't he?
I know, proper, like, alpha fella. Like me and him had stood up and he kept on, you need to sit down now. We were like, listen, mate, we pay for these tickets. We drove like to the end of Earth to watch it. We're standing up.
All the way end stood up as well.
Yeah, exactly. The only highlight at the end of the day was there was this kid like shouting at Pickford for his gloves.
Oh, yeah.
Pickford heard him like, and I went over to grab the gloves for him. And a load of people around me thought I was going to take the gloves and keep them for myself. And like people are looking at me like, listen, mate, I'm just grabbing his gloves, and Pickford just said, yeah, mate, give them to him. So I grabbed the gloves and walked up, gave them to the kid. And like I had people still snarling at me. I've got a photo. I've got a photo of me where I've got like a bright red face, and all of these owl fellas snarling at me. And I thought,
was it mainly Les?
I thought I'm gonna look like a champion here. I've just got Pickford's gloves, and I'm about to give them to this little 7-year-old kid who's like crying.
You should have kept them, Dave. You should have kept them.
I know. It felt like turning around saying, "You little bastard." I'm gonna keep these. And then the worst thing was, we were going to get the shuttle bus back to the car park near the race course, and then of course it's chocker. Everyone's getting on this shuttle bus, so I said to Les, "Come on, we'll hop in a taxi first." Got in a taxi, drove back there, and we get out, and some kid got run over. Didn't he?
The kid had ran into a car instead of the car running into the kid, so it wasn't quite as bad.
That's it. Someone was trying to get off as quick as he possibly could and just ran some kid over. But it wasn't that bad. Like, we're not being that cynical. He was actually all right. He was just crying, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Then we went and got back in my car. I'm not joking. As soon as we put it on, TalkSport was on. Liverpool were playing Arsenal. And I think Mane had scored about a fourth goal after the first 10 minutes. And we just looked at each other like, mate, I'm just going to cry all the way home here. I don't even think we stopped anywhere, did we? I just put my foot down.
I slept.
Yeah, that's right, you jammy bastard. I was trying to get some tape to keep my eyes open, like just driving through snow. It was just horrendous. And I think it was our first away together, was it, Les? Because we
think so, yeah.
Because when we went to Bournemouth in that coach that Pete sorted out, it was glorious in there, lovely leather coach, right smack in the middle of summer, just sitting there having a drink. It was sound. Did you sort that out?
Yeah. It was VIP travel group.
That's it, yeah. It was sound in there, mate. It's a lovely little van now.
He's got 3 of them.
Has he?
Yeah, he's got like 3 of them now. So it's he's got like a little fleet of them. It's a bit more expensive, like, but if you're going on a long trip, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I'm not a fan of jumping in coaches and all that and getting down there. like a bit of comfort myself and all that. Like, and I've got the best. In fact, this is going to be the photo that we use for this podcast when we shared it on Twitter. It's Les a kip on the way home, and I've got the best photo of him ever, haven't I, Les?
I look peaceful. That's all, that's all I want to say.
His mouth wide open as well. It was hilarious. He's just got me trying to make a serious face next to him.
I remember that Brighton trip as well. By the way, I remember that game because you know at Brighton as you come out as well, and you have to go up those stairs, don't you? It is Brighton, isn't it? You have to go up those steps, but there's like a grass verge, like hill, on the left hand side of the steps where people kind of try and like jump the queue a little bit. And all I remember is people trying to run up that hill and just sliding right back down again because of like the snow and because it was like because the ground was so wet. But people would be like, and everyone was cheering them, trying to get them to the top. It was like that thing on Gladiators where they're trying to, run up the hill.
Travelator.
Yeah, the Travelator, and then getting sort of 3/4 of the way up and then just sliding down. It was like
class.
Next one's from Maggie. It could be people running up hills. It could be my mouth open as I was asleep. But what's the worst thing you've ever seen on an away day, not football related? Anyone?
That's a tough question. That means
I remember Wembley 2009. It would have been the semi-final against Man United, and we were in that Silver Spoons next to Wembley, and this is horrible. So where you went into the toilet, there was like a step down and then a step straight back up again. So you went through one door and there was like a little step down. There's like this like square thing at the bottom, and then you'd step back up into the toilet. At first that was okay earlier on in the day, but by the end of towards the end before we went into the ground, that entire step down was just full. And I mean, like shin deep in piss from the toilet, because it was obviously all overflowing and coming out the toilet. But I say because it was like a drop, and then like this like square, and then you'd have to stand up the step again to get into the toilet. And there was people literally like walking full on like up to their shins in piss in and out, and it was just horrendous. Like that was pretty fucking grim, especially like you could tell who'd been in the toilet because like they'd have like one wet foot, you know what I mean? That was horrible.
The toilets at York were pretty bad, as I remember. It was just they weren't overflowing. It was just a wall with like a gutter at the bottom of it. You're just pissing against the wall, basically. That's it. At the wonderfully named Kit Kat crescent.
Mine's similar to that. I was about 14 and I didn't realise it at the time, but I saw Matt Le Tissier play. Like, it's a pissing up the wall and piss, yeah.
Did you have his microscope out?
Yeah, not far off, I think.
Dave?
Southampton was shite. It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
but also, I mean, it's probably a little bit cliche. Leicester away as well. Their fans are horrible. There's like stereotyping there, but most of their fans made the amount of abuse they give towards the away end at that place. And then I remember when you come out, there's a couple of car dealerships on the outside of it, and I thought I was being really clever and parked my car. This Ford gaff, and I thought that'll be fine. I'll just throw it over the road and nobody's going to notice. And I'm not joking. Come back out, and I was with Sarah Halpin. Come back out, and I had about 5 different tickets. Not joking, 5 different tickets on the front of my car. And I was like, "How can you possibly give out more than one ticket?" Like there were 5 tickets there, and I thought that's just not right. And because I had my little Everton badge on them, I'm thinking, yeah, they've just been twats because they've seen that I'm an Evertonian and just stood there, just writing out more and more and more tickets. I did have to end up paying about 3 of them back as well. But I thought, how horrendous. I'd rather walk in piss and shit like you two than walk out of Leicester's ground and go and get in my car with 5 tickets.
Fair enough. Maggie's also asked, mailbag Gregorian chanting, please. And thank you. Pete, can you Gregorian chant?
Do you know what? I can, but I'd need to warm up. So
there's a time and a place. We'll come back to that at some point, Mags. Don't worry.
If Maggie turns up at some point, I will sing. If Maggie comes on the next mailbag, I will
Okay.
sing Gregorian
seems-
chants for her. How
That
about that?
seems fair enough.
Maggie Oki.
Maggie
Well,
Oki.
Yeah.
Maggie
needs
Oki.
that. Another one, Underberg discuss.
Mm.
TWS said, Nectar, he's right. It's the best half-time drink you can ever sneak into the ground.
No, I'm not having that.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm not.
What is it?
It's grim.
But it's
It's
like
grim.
medicine,
It's grim.
basically.
Is it still sponsoring you guys?
Oh, no, the Den beers, though.
It's
I
Denver.
know,
right?
yeah.
Fine.
So
Yeah.
we can't say anything bad.
It tastes grim, but I love the stuff. It's a belter. Another one from Maggie, who in the Everton squad doesn't wash their legs in the shower. I think this harks back to a conversation that didn't Rob and Mark have this on the kickabout about washing legs in the shower, or was this in the group chat or something? Anyway, there was a thing whereby a lot of people seem to just let the soap run down, and that's enough to wash your legs. Personally, I wash my legs, but there you go. Who doesn't?
I don't. We
don't wash your legs?
I had this conversation with the kids on holiday about like the length of time. It's primarily driven by the length of time spent in the shower. Like my 14, 15-year-old daughter probably spends like 30 minutes in the shower.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
I can be in and out in a minute and a half, and like, what are people doing in the shower? And they're like, "Do you wash your legs?" No. When's washing your legs a thing?
I always thought it was, to be honest.
It's just my hygiene standards I'm kind of owning up to.
So long as you do your foaming zones, you're clean. Who do you reckon doesn't then in the Everton squad? I know every time we're asked a question about the Everton squad, I immediately think Jordan Pickford. No matter what the question.
I think he's quite a clean chap.
It's just a comfortable surname, isn't it?
Yeah, it just
Yeah. I reckon, go on, Pete. Sorry.
I'd be really worried if Dominic Calvert-Lewin tried, because if he leaned over to or if he stood on one leg and did it that way, you know, like where you stand on one leg and bring your leg up and give it a good scrub. Either way, I'd be really terrified that he'd end up slipping and getting or pulling his back or something, or doing his hamstrings. So I'd hope that Dominic Calvert-Lewin has really filthy legs.
I reckon he's very well groomed, Dominic. I reckon probably Malpai, even though he's about to leave us, he looks a bit more unkempt, I'd suggest. So I reckon
Grubby little Frenchman.
I'm not saying that, but yeah.
Second part of this question: who still wears links?
Me, sadly, because no, not sadly, because it's always like Schneid members of family who end up getting you that.
Oh, I get links every year. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say the Africa. Everyone gets Africa. If you're not from the Northwest, if someone doesn't give you links Africa, and you can smell it. It's notoriously.
It's an underrated smell, I think.
Well, I was going to say it's a nice smell, but it is. It's like it's got to be the most common deodorant in the world. And the shower gel's really nice as well. I can't complain about it. I can't complain about links either, because there used to be about 8 million different types, different smells, didn't there?
Lynx Java and Link Tempest were elite.
Oh, that's it, mate. They bring out a brand new one, and you're like, how are they just doing this? Are people just putting a bit of salt in each one of them and hoping they smell different?
Back in the 90s.
But yeah, that's it. And the thing is, I think they're easy to give as gifts, so that you got them as part of your Christmas sack or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's because when you wrap them up, they looked amazing, boxes and wrapped up. You get them, you think, oh, wasn't me when my dad got me here? And then you don't. Well, I've got Links Africa. It sounds like, but stop getting me something that's £2 in, it's £2 out of Morrison's or something like that.
So I think. Yeah, go on, Pete. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, on that subject, on the subject of links, and in terms of flavors, and this one's literally a flavor. I got a little box set about 2 years ago, which was a Marmite links thing, and it literally, and I've never ever go near it. Like, I think I've ended up in it. In fact, I think I've still got the shower gel somewhere, and it's as bad as it sounds. It literally smells like Marmite.
To do that,
I don't know why you'd release it. I don't know why you'd buy it, and I don't know why you'd give it to someone as a gift. And this was a family member as well. So I don't know if they properly despise me, but it was maybe that was just like their way of saying, like, I hate you. But yeah, Marmite links
Quick
No
spray
way
of Marmite on
Marmite
your
does a
before
link.
you go out. No one's doing that, are they?
Christ, no, it's horrible.
You'd be sound like spraying that on your balls, wouldn't you?
Yeah. That's a dog going for.
Maybe
I mean,
that's
it
the idea.
depends where you go on a night, like, you know what I mean?
Love it or
Yeah.
hate it.
Whatever works,
that's
innit, you know?
right.
Whatever works.
But I remember, you used to be able to get the Blag links. It was called something else, it was called Jinx. That was it. You used to be able to get the one for like you get 10 of them for £1 in Poundland, and it was called Jinx.
Jag links, Jinx. That's
Jinx,
amazing.
yeah, I'm not joking, mate. I'll have a look at it. Google that. There's a Jag links called Jinx.
I got some Lynx Africa shower gel from Aldi, which is called something like Lacuna Tropical or something.
Do you know what's funny? We're all sitting here talking about Lynx as if it's like elite. You know what I mean? Elite deodorant here, lads. But you know, when you go to any place, shop for your food, there's definitely some Blag version of Lynx that's just as nice.
I got some half my family are Scottish from my wife's side, so I'm going to give my answer to this to Nathan Patterson. But I got some similar to you, some Africa shower gel for Christmas a couple of years ago, and you probably guessed my shower habits. I don't really wash. I don't really use shower gel. I think I accidentally used this as a suppository, and it ended up things smelled very rosy for a while afterwards.
I tell you what you can't be for that tea tree. The tingle you get off that tea tree stuff.
I've got some in my pocket. It's awesome.
I've got a picture of this Jinx here as well.
You have to send that to us. We could use that for the thing.
What else did they say we should use for the picture?
The picture of me, but I think we've used that before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this Jinx. Jinx is actually the marketing on Jinx looks better than Lynx.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. I've got
that's the other thing as well. Do you remember Lynx? And this will be a thing if you Google that now, Les. Lynx, but out of chocolate smelling Lynx.
Yeah, I remember that one.
What are they playing at here? I think some of the links is on there. I'm gonna Google how many different types of links there are now.
I have a look on that WhatsApp group, and I've just sent Dave and Les a photo of the one I was talking about before. If you've got
What are we saying? Are we saying though? So we're saying Nate. That's grim. That God, it looks like Marmite as well. So we're saying Nathan Patterson and probably Jordan Pickford.
Nathan Patterson.
Yeah, that was Foxy's answer.
Him or James Garner.
2 minutes left before Zoom kicks us off. So quickly on this one from Keith. Using ASOS sizing guides, how big are Beto's undies?
What does the sizing guide go to? Is it just?
I don't know. I reckon ASOS is probably pretty small, isn't it? Do you think? I reckon they start off at like extra small.
Well, that's it, mate. I mean, I can answer this quite comfortably because I'm a big fella, aren't I? As you all know, and I'm comfortable to go with just an XL, remarkably, because I like to squeeze everything in because it feels nice. But I reckon I reckon ASOS is going to like a 5XL. I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon they would. Pete,
is this waist or length or what?
What kind of length do you mean?
Well, you might need to. You might because it might be that he has to like have some like like adjusted.
He might need to double bag, I think.
Yeah, because you'd think that he's an athlete, so he wouldn't have a wide waist, but then he's got big
legs.
Hasn't he?
Yeah. Who are we talking about here?
Beto. Do you know what? I've never seen.
Fucking hell! I'm giving myself away. You need to delete that, letters.
I've never seen a pair of shorts as big as David Unsworth's.
Oh,
in that 2000 Puma kit, that was dead baggy anyway. Those shorts were huge.
Well, it looked like Beto had that was a good 5XL that top he had on as well.
It was. I was digging the 90s vibes. Right, we're going to have to leave it for part one because the countdown is on, less than a minute to go. So we will catch you in part two in about 30 seconds. We are back with Mailbag, or We Never Went Away, if you listen to the podcast. So one from Warren, a two-parter from him. When is Hot Topics coming back to Mailbag? Tell you what, Warren, we'll do a hot topic right now, okay? If you could vandalise one thing and get away with it, what would it be? Any idea what the news story might be?
Ask the question again there, Les. Sorry, you missed out then.
If you could go out and vandalize one thing and get away with it, what would it be?
Great question, that.
Any idea what the news story is?
The news story?
It's a hot topic. Warren wants the hot topic
topic.
back. So I've dropped one in for him.
You know me, I haven't got a clue on that. No idea what that
Anyone?
is.
It's not
Is it-
Bill's picture again.
It's
I
not.
was going to say it's not
No.
because I saw the photo on Twitter yesterday. I don't know whether it was photoshopped or not though. With what was it? It was something about Kenwright and Beto. It was like in Beto we trust, in Kenwright we rust. I think it was a mock-up though. Someone had sprayed on Goodison. I'm assuming that was photoshopped though.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. So what it is, it's these middle-aged fellas down in the outer reaches of London calling themselves the Blade Runners and like dismantling all these ULEZ cameras. So they're going out and they're just dismantling all these cameras, but they just seem to be getting away with it. It's like the way like Just Stop Oil do a little bit of a slow march and the press is on the back. These weird cats are going out, call themselves the Blade Runners for whatever reason. Just, taking apart like cameras on the road, and they seem to be getting away with it. So,
Do you remember that thing during the pandemic where you had people who were convinced that the pandemic was caused by 5G masts and they were like setting fire to them?
Yeah, you just see like quite a bit in Liverpool, that wasn't it?
Yeah,
Quite a lot in the Midlands too. Yeah,
into it.
Yeah. See, I was. It was the fact that they genuinely believed that it was like going to send some kind of transmission and and spread the virus. That was the bit that got me. At least with the cameras, like you can understand sort of the reason behind it because it's kind of it's very Big Brother and it's very sort of, I can get the reason behind that. But,
This is the thing with all these right-wing cranks. They're always I'm not sorry to any right-wing cranks you might be listening because you're right-wing and you're a crank, but they're always really, really close to getting to the point of something. So if this was like a surveillance society, you could kind of think, well, do you know what? Yeah, it's quite bad that you could be getting watched everywhere. They're always so close to getting to like a reasonable point, but no, it's because of the traffic thing, which probably won't affect that many people. And the payoff is probably quite good. I don't know enough about it really. But anyway, I just find it a bit mad that they get away with it. Yeah. Would you vandalise anyway? Maybe you wouldn't.
Well, my answer to the second bit, Warren's question, was like, what superpower, whatever thing you best in the world in, was actually being able to get away with it. So I'm a bit worried now, given that I'm a middle-aged white fella, that I was kind of one of these guys damaging cameras. The reason I wanted to be able to get away with stuff was mainly so I could have road rage. When you're driving, you get people like cutting in between the lanes and you get quite angry, but there's nothing you can do. But you sit there going, I'd quite like to just get my car and smash into the back of you and force you off the side of the road or somewhere and quite an aggressive, but you can't, right? You can't, but you really want to. If I had the special power, the world's best at getting away with it to do that, I'd probably go for it. But now you've kind of said it's maybe Tory cranks at the same time, I kind of rethink my answer.
Yeah.
In case it's an overly Tory answer, I'll be careful.
Outed yourself there a bit, mate.
Yeah, no.
Any ULEZ cameras round your way?
Not anymore.
So there's the second part of the question then from Warren. Apart from a sport, what do you wish you were the best in the world at? Dave? If you don't say leather daddying, I'll be dead disappointed.
He's already the best. There's no need to improve.
Well,
I was going to say, mate, I'm already the best at that, so I don't need to say it really, do I? Well, that's a really good question. That is such a good question. It's hard not to automatically refer to sport, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really difficult.
Do you know,
I'm the best.
Go on. What? I was going to say
the best at drawing.
Do you know what? I was just going to say, what's the name of the fella there with the big hair that's always on the telly? You can paint. Bob Sutton, is it? What's his name? Everyone knows his name.
I think it's talking about Rolf Ariston.
No, you know what I mean.
Bob Ross.
What?
Bob Ross.
That's it, yeah, him.
Yeah.
I watch it now and again, because it proper chills me out. But the way he paints, he makes it look so easy as well. I reckon I could have a go and do better than him. But the other thing about it is, he had his lad on it with him as well. His son, come on there. And, he was better than his dad. And I'm thinking, Can you imagine how chilled out your house is if you go up to your kid and teach him how to paint better than yourself, which you've made a career of? I reckon that's such a soothing. I know he's passed away now, but I think his lad still goes about painting trees and all that. So yeah, I go with that painting.
Pete?
Yeah, I mean, if I had the ability to do something, well, yeah. So if I could be the best in the world at, see, I always think about like the movie Groundhog Day. You know, like when he gets to relive the day over and over and over again, but then he learns like loads of different skills because of it. So he's stuck in the loop for like hundreds of years. So he ends up being like, being able to play the piano and ice sculpt, and he's an artist and poetry and all that stuff. And I think something like an instrument like guitar or piano, I can play it decent. I can pick up a guitar and play a tune. The piano probably. Because I just think it's supposed to be able to just walk into a pub and just start playing the piano.
Put like a proper cockney knees up.
Yeah, yeah. But like, do you know what I mean?
Everyone
Imagine
singing.
if you just whacked out a bit of Mozart in the middle of
yeah,
in the middle of town.
Do you know what, Pete? Once again, this is just like, this is flowing so nicely. Stephen's asked, being an Evertonian is like the world's worst version of Groundhog Day. I'm not even messing. That's his question. But if you could relive one good day again, what would it be? So we can have football related. Tell you what, should we make it football related? Because Foxy, if we don't say the birth of one or all of our kids or something like that.
Yeah, I thought about it. I didn't even think about birthday kids, to be honest. I really enjoyed the end of last season. So it's not a day in particular, but being an Everton fan, there's not a lot generally to get behind. So not last season, the season before. So when we actually kind of properly got into the relegation battle and we kind of had the passion, the blue smoke and all that stuff, like those scenes of the buses outside were awesome, weren't they? And then I actually thought that's one of my favourite seasons I've had as an Everton fan, which is pretty sad and indicative of how crap the whole thing's been for the last like 35 odd years. But that Palace game, honestly, from an Everton perspective, getting on the pitch and all that stuff at the end of it, that's the closest I've had to actually celebrating something, even if it's more of a relief. But
we don't do communal and pulling together too often, do we?
No, and I don't think we'll
that
do
was
it.
Nice.
I don't think we'll ever do it again, because I think this year, if it happens again, and when we go to the new stadium, it's not set up in the same way, the tightness of the streets around Goodison and everything else. I think that was probably a one-off that we had at that time and won't ever be repeated. That is our glory times as recent.
It's the good times.
Good times.
Mm-hmm. Dave?
This might sound quite crap, but when we beat Liverpool 2-0 in COVID away at their place. That'd be wonderful. But obviously you'd have to eliminate COVID and that we were all there. That would have been the best away day. And the other one as well, mate, which properly, and I've mentioned this a load of times, I properly got into footy in Everton when we had Andre Kanchelskis. The one when we beat the Shite at their place 2-1, and he's just exceptional. He did not put a foot wrong in that game. When he gets it on the right hand side, Paul Rideout gets it on the right hand side, crosses it in, it's an immense header he puts past David James, and then the second one he just absolutely belts it. It wasn't the best strike, but it was too hard for James to stop. That goes in, mate, and that probably got me hooked with him as a player, but also just Everton. The reason why you wanted to be an Evertonian was wiping them away. Do you know what I mean? Because that hatred towards them as a fan was a big thing for me to support Everton even more, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
So that day itself, and I was only a kid, so the other thing I'd say about it is, I was 10, 11. The only thing I'd say is I wish it was like this age, or say 10 years older than that, to relive that day would have been immense, because you got a load of mates who are Reds and all that, and you just want to take the piss out of them. That for me would be special.
To actually go and properly beat them like we did in those two games.
Just annihilate them, mate. I mean, the easiest ones to go to are like winning leagues and trophies and all that, and your precious 80s as well, Les. But yeah, there's those days which they're not going to be that special to anybody else, but yeah, that's probably unique. I think everyone's got a unique one, haven't they, really?
Yeah. Pete?
Yeah. See, the thing about, right, a little bit like childbirth, like you were saying about the the about you how you'd have to say that. The the likes of the Palace game is very comparable to that because you've got the fear, the absolute like destruction going on to the thing you love the most in front of you, but then a bit of happiness at the end.
Yeah.
So the Palace game for me was a nightmare up until the final whistle. So in terms of reliving it, as long as I knew the result, that'd be great to relive. But I would never want to relive that feeling. I mean, the Bournemouth game was close to it. I mean, at least in the Bournemouth game, we didn't go a goal down or 2 goals down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the United semi-final for me was a really big, that was a great day for me. Apart from standing in piss, although I managed to sort of avoid the ankle piss. But apart from that,
Ankle piss. That could be the title for this show. Ankle piss.
Ankle piss, yeah. Cracking day. Going to Young Boys away, that was my favourite, probably my favourite away trip. That
Yeah,
I loved that. That was like, it was mad. It was like 20 odd hours on a coach, and then we got there. We were just up all the way through it, and then pretty much got dropped off in the square at 10 in the morning. The coldest I've ever been, but it was just amazing day. One battered them as well. Got back to the hotel, had a good sleep, and then came home. That was a great day.
Yeah.
And I met some Boss Blues there as well, who we still go away with now.
Couple of quick ones. Maggie, best part of the sausage roll, the inside or the outside? Pastry for me all day. Outside.
Foxy? I think it's too generic what she's asked there. Because if it's warm, then the outside is really soft and it's immense.
Oh yeah, that's a shout.
Both halves of it. I think if you to which that answer is, I would go for the outside because it's like it's the nice part before the better part. If you get what I mean, you think it's nice, it gets even better. Just like when you're around Maggie. To be fair, really nice. But when you get closer to her and talk to her even more, it's even more beautiful. To be fair, anyway. Yeah, what was the question again?
Sausage rolls.
Best part of the sausage roll, Pete, outside or inside?
Does anyone else do this thing where you actually take the outside off the inside?
I have done, but the sausage and the sausage roll.
Yeah.
Terrible.
It depends on the sausage though, because like all it depends on where you get it from. For me, Sayers is far superior to Greggs, for example.
It is.
And
without doubt.
The sausage meat in Sayers, for me, is far tastier than the Greggs one. The pastry as well. So then, do you know what I mean? So I think it kind of depends on the quality of both ingredients. But as I say, I'm weird because I dismantle mine. So I'll have it like pastry, bit of sausage, pastry, bit of sausage. Do you know what I mean? Weird.
Yeah. So like
if I had to choose one, I could live without pastry. I couldn't live without sausages.
Oh, I could live without sausage and not pastry. I could have a pastry pie all day.
Well, the worst part of all this is when you go in there and like, I don't know, for some reason, if it's approaching towards when they close and all that, they haven't put fresh ones out there, which are really warm and lovely and soft. And they'll leave, in the little baskets that are in the middle of either Greggs or Sayers always leave those little things in the middle where you can just get a packet of 4.
Yeah.
And they're like the horrible,
they're never the same.
Yeah, exactly. They maybe because then I think, do you know what? I'd be all right if a bit of a cheat here. I can go home, throw them in the microwave. But no, they're not nice, and the price of them as well. I'm not a fan of that. Similar to the donuts in there as well. To be fair, you can get fresh donuts in there with the jam, and they're absolutely lovely. But when they go crusty on the outside, I'm thinking we're getting a bit ripped off there by Greggs and Sayers.
Yeah, they throw all the shite in those packets, don't they?
That's it, yeah.
Quick question on socks, Poncho Sombrero. Do you believe the rumour Jimmy Martin's got 33 years worth of stolen socks in his loft and is going to open a stall in Grady? But that would explain the sock shortage, wouldn't it? Every year with the kits for a couple of years running. I think that's true.
Has he got the zip shorts as well?
He'll have all the gear.
Oh, mate, that'll be immense.
Yeah. All the gear.
I'd love to speak to him and ask about this, and just he must have some things in his loft there or some like memorabilia from his days at Everton. There must be some amazing things that fella's got.
Yeah, I'd love to know what he's nicked. Definitely, you must have nicked stuff, mustn't you?
Yeah.
Like, bits
Yeah.
of kit that you weren't meant to take, but like,
No,
Excess money.
I reckon someone's medal or something like that, something amazing like that.
Not from Everton, though.
Yeah, 33 years at Everton.
No medals.
Right, we'll finish off on this one from Sam. So basically, she was speaking to someone, and apparently Walton Road Mackies has got the best customers, but it's filthy. So she heard.
What?
But
The
anyway,
best customers? What's that mean?
What? I don't know.
The best Mackies customers? Come on, what's that mean?
The best customers are sound, but the actual gap's a bit.
Oh, I see. Okay.
A bit run down.
I find that hard to believe.
But
because of where it is in like without games on and on, but also I'm thinking that like I'm not into that really. I think
Are we talking County Road Mackies?
I think so, yeah.
I've been in there plenty of times, nothing wrong with that gaff.
But anyway, the question is, why don't they do little cartons of mayonnaise? So apparently, if you go and ask for one, they'll give you a little carton of mayonnaise. So why not just
They don't exist. I'm not having that. That can't be a McDonald's. That.
Well,
I've never seen them.
Sam's sister is a former employee, and she says they'll give you a little pot if you ask.
A pot? Not like one of them.
Probably one of those little paper ones.
Oh, I see. Well, they must have it because they put it on like the chicken burgers and that, don't they?
So they got it.
No, that's out of a big squarey bowl or a bottle of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's out of one of them.
They have like the red sauce brown.
Well, isn't it like for ages? Like it's a bit of a taboo, wasn't it, to try and ask for the Big Mac sauce? Like you still can't get that anywhere.
The West Foxy said
it must be hard to make your own version of it.
Yeah,
in little pots.
Yeah, so you have the red sauce and the brown sauce and the little squeezy things, but I guess you can't have mayo because it'll go off.
True.
Well, the thing about the mayo that goes in the chicken sandwiches, that is gorgeous. That mayo in that is lovely because it's got a little tang to it. And you can tell that you're in one of the franchise Mackies when it's just like a bog standard Hellman's mayo that goes in there and doesn't taste anywhere near as good.
Worst mayo is that light mayo. Lightest mayo. It's horrible.
The what?
It's like the lightest light mayo. It's grim.
The lightest light mayo?
Yeah, so it's like light mayo, but lighter. That's terrible. Would not recommend. But can we all agree that they should just have like Burger King do, maybe give you a little sachet of mayonnaise?
It's classic.
Yeah.
Sachets is shite though. I mean, that's the other thing. It's like, when you go to Nando's and like you can get the Peronaise on a nice little bowl of it. I'm happy with all that. But the other thing when my missus has gone to Nando's or something to pick it up for me or whatever, or you've got a delivery, and they give you the little sachets of whatever you like, the herb sauce, my favourite and all that. And I'm just not having it. When you open them, it's like you get the tiniest little part of it. You can just dip your little finger on and then that's it. It's gone. Why can't they just give you? I know you have to buy a bottle in there. The small bottles are like £2, absolute rip-off. But why don't they use that Peronaise for all the other places like Burger King and Mackies and all that? I'm just not having it. I think we're all being ripped off by that, especially if they've started charging as well. I mean, have you've experienced that over the years when places have started charging for tiny little sachets of sauce? Like, what's going on with the cost of living?
Just tight. They're just tight, aren't they? They're going to share all them.
Multi-millionaire companies as well.
Exactly. I think we've done that question justice there. It brought out some sort of nearly bit of socialism solidarity there.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Stick it to the man. Get free sauces. Shoplifty sauces. Whatever works. That's fine. That's all there's time for as well this week. TWS, I will get to your question, and Laura, I'll get to your question next week. But that's it for this week's mailbag. So thanks to Foxy, thanks to Dave, thanks to Pete, thanks to everyone who sent questions in, and we will catch you next time.